Well, you got three that are in their fifth year here, and you got one that's a one-year guy in Chris Perry. But I think, with the three that have been here for 5 years, you're talking about, consummate student athletes. I think they're guys that obviously all three have graduated college. They're all taking their master's degrees. They're guys that have, in different ways, had tremendous impact here in terms of winning. And Lou's obviously been in terms of on-court production, the standout, but doesn't mean that Paul and Hunter have been any less valuable. For a lot of years, they were just, valuable in so many ways that were behind the scenes, and this year they're getting a chance to be valuable in a way that everybody can see. And then you take a guy like Chris, and certainly wouldn't be in the situation that we're in without him. He came in as late to us, and you always worry in those situations. We don't have many transfers in the program. We haven't taken many guys that have transferred from somewhere else, and you wonder how he's going to fit and how he'll blend in with the team. And you're talking about a guy that's probably as well liked as anybody in our locker room. Chris, a guy that's really beloved with his teammates and has done an amazing job fitting in and ingratiating himself into our culture and what we do. Well, I think when you look at Lou, you think of class and humility and consistency. The amount of, I think it's hard for people to appreciate the amount of mental toughness it takes to do what he does day in, day out, game in, game out, year in, year out. He's been the base, the starting point for everything we've done here over the 4 years, really since he was a freshman. He's been a guy that took on the role of guarding the team's best player. He's been obviously a guy that's carried a tremendous load for us offensively. He's done it all with an unbelievable unbelievable disposition. He's a guy that really, his intentions are always pure. He cares about winning. He cares about his team. He feels a great responsibility of the group to perform. And he's unique in the sense that a lot of guys you talk about that are consistent performers, a lot of guys are, scorers or defenders. To have the ability to impact the game dramatically on both ends of the floor and have to do that, again, every single time. Requires an incredible amount of character and an incredible amount of mental toughness, and he's just got a very unique, array of characteristics that allow him to do that. And so we've been incredibly fortunate, and I've been really, privileged to be able to coach him over the last 4 years with his work ethic, and again the way he carries himself. A lot of times when you have a best player, and if you, depending on how that guy is, affects, I think, chemistry on a team comes from your, top few guys on the roster and then probably your bottom few. And he's just been a great leader, a great example for the rest of the guys. Well, I think, as a player, I've always believed you're defined by your competitive spirit and your nature. And you look at a lot of things that Paul Woodson, can't do. He's, he can't shoot threes. He's not a scorer. He's usually physically overmatched the power forward position at 175, 180 pounds. But that's not how, anybody would define him in the locker room or that watched him play. He'd be defined as a guy that plays with unbelievable effort, is physical, is tough, is incisive, a guy who is a great teammate who makes others around him better. I think he's a great example for our other guys in the locker room, our young guys, that, it's not necessarily about just talent. It's about competitiveness. And to me, Paul's the ultimate winner, and has been as a player. When he didn't play, he wasn't a guy that pouted or sulked. He was an engaged teammate. He was a guy that he's probably the most respected guy in the locker room, but has been, even though his playing time until this year, wasn't significant. And he's a guy, like I said, I think is a great example to younger guys, that it's about, those intangible things and your competitiveness, much more than just your level of talent coming in. And obviously he's had an amazing senior year here for us. Yeah, Hunter's a guy I got great admiration for. His perseverance, his persistence, his resiliency, not to easily could have left. I mean, he comes in and he's a walk on. He never gets to play, and he's kind of buried for 4 years, and he wasn't not playing for any reason that at the time he wasn't good enough, and he just kept working and working and working. And Hunter's always been really smart, and he's always stayed ready. When opportunities arose, anytime he was ready for whatever it was. And I've got a lot of admiration for him to be able to kind of hang in there like that, and it's great to see it. His persistence rewarded here as a fifth-year senior. It's been tremendous for me to watch and to watch his growth as a player. I'd say if Paul's the most respected guy in the locker room, Hunter might be the most beloved, just because of his. Obviously he's a terrific shooter, but he's beloved for his enthusiasm, his kindness. I think the way he's such a great teammate, the way he handles and treats his teammates. He's a guy that's I think everybody in the locker room really, really likes Hunter, and because of just the way he carries himself, and kind of like Lou, just a classy, and then Paul same way, just a classy young guy. But Hunter's incredibly kind. He's incredibly generous. He's a great teammate, and I think again probably the guy in the locker room that is the most beloved of all the players, and a group that really likes each other across the board. Well, obviously Chris is an immensely talented basketball player. We certainly would not have had the kind of season that we've had without him being here. So we're incredibly fortunate that he decided to transfer and decided to come to Lincoln Memorial, because who knows where we'd be without him, but certainly wouldn't be in the position that we're in. He's a terrific human being. He's a guy that is fun-loving. He's a guy that has a great personality. He can take criticism. He doesn't personalize anything. He wants to get better. He works to improve. He's rare in today's game that he's an anchor in the post. He's not a whole lot of guys that you can throw it down to there with their back to the basket and go get a bucket, and he's certainly that. And then he's fit in beautifully with the team. He's a guy that all his teammates enjoy him to come in, and you look at the other guys that have all been here for 5 years and their relationships. We got a lot of guys that have been here 3, 4, 5 years, and so for him to walk in and be able to adapt and work to kind of from a personality standpoint, I thought he came in and he deferred and let those other guys kind of lead the way, but now he's kind of found his groove and his niche, and he's been a wonderful addition to us in terms of his production on the court, and he's been a great addition from a personality standpoint off the court.